Hi, my name is Canterbury. I'm going to be hosting on Archery Talk 101, and we have some more lessons. We're going to continue on with some lessons. We're going to go over today some release aids and how to use them, and then also to go through the draw process that I use. You may use a different one, but that's how I use it, and we're going to start with there. So I got some videos that we're going to go over, and we're going to take a look at some of the videos that I've created on different things. So we're going to start off with on how to correctly use a release. Now we go over wrist straps as well as the handhelds. The wrist straps, there's a couple different styles. There is a Velcro style, and then there's calipers that you lock around your loop. And then there's the kind that have the buckles and then the hooks on them, and there's a couple other styles out there. But that's the two I have, and I show is also I show a handheld release and how I use mine. Each one's a little bit different, but there's a couple different variations. So let me go ahead and we're going to get the first video started up here on the way. Let me go ahead and get it started.
Okay, the correct way to use a release. We're going to start off with
let's go back here and start it. And let's go ahead and share my screen. Okay, there's a couple of videos that I've created on different things, teaching different things on here. And we're going to go over this first one here. And I think we are sharing the sound. Oh, let me make sure we share the sound so that you can hear it. Let's do the share again. Okay, now we're sharing it. Make sure we get the sound on. So I'm going to go over a couple different releases and show you the proper way according to the way I learn it and I teach it. Okay, the correct way to use a release. We're going to start off with a caliper type 1, which the jaws just open up. Now these are called a wrist release. They don't go on the hand. A lot of people will put them on the hand and start pulling with the hand. And as you're pulling, you're going to see that as you pull from here, just take your hands like this and try it and pull, and you're going to feel separation in the wrist right here. So you're pulling on the hand here. If it's back here, you can pull with your back muscles much easier. So you want to put the strap on so it goes around. Now this is a Velcro one, and you'll see why I don't really like the Velcro ones when you get ready to draw. They're a little bit noisier. See, it's up on your wrist. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that Velcro is tightening up and making a noise. So if you get ready to draw your bow, you're going to draw back and you're going to have that noise. Now what you're going to do is you want this trigger to be fairly short. When you get ready to draw, put your finger behind it. Because what will happen is as you get ready to draw, if your hand is in front of it and you make a fist, you will fire it. And as you're drawing back and it goes off prematurely, you're going to smack yourself in the mouth. So you always want to have it short. So now, when you get ready to hook it up, you have to look down on it, and now you're going to start drawing. Now, because I don't have an arrow in here, I'm not going to draw it back. So I'm going to put my hand on here, and that's how I'm going to start my draw. So that's how you use one of these type. Now, you got the pros and cons. If you have this out firing at the tip of the finger, you're going to have a tendency to want to pull the trigger. That'll cause target panic. So now let's go with a different style one. This one here has a hook on it. I prefer those. Has the little hook on it like this. When you pull the trigger, it just opens up instead of the jaws opening up. So now you're going to put this on. It takes a while sometimes to get the hang of putting these things on. You're going to put this on, and you want it there again around your wrist. There's a little spot right here that holds it. So now you're pulling, you pull from your back muscles. Now this one here, nice thing about this one is when you have your bow, I don't have to look at it to hook it up. I can find the loop and I can hook it up.
Now there again, you don't want your finger in front, because if you have your finger in front, make a fist, it's going to release on you. So that's why if your finger's behind, you're not going to be apt to pull the trigger and smack yourself in the mouth. Now, on to another type is one that you hold in your hand. They call them a thumb release because everybody likes to do them wrong and just pull the trigger this way. That's worse than using your index finger because there's less dexterity in the thumb. The way these are supposed to be used is, now this one has the jaws like the first one I showed you. You're going to hook it on here. Nice thing about these, you can leave them hanging on the bow. You're going to grab it when you pull it back. You want that trigger back here on your thumb, not here, not out here, back here. Because now as you pull, it will release.
For those that are just listening, the difference is where that thumb release goes, the knurled knob on this one here, that was on the joint where the thumb and the thumb before it gets to where your thumb meets into your hand. And I prefer it back in there where it fits into the hand, because then you're less tendency to actually use the thumb to actually pull the trigger.
So back here, as you come back, and you're going to release by just rolling your hand, using your back muscles to pull that back. Okay, see how that works? Now, this one has a lot of movement in that trigger. See how much movement that is before that jaws open up? When you feel that, when you're shooting with back tension, you're going to feel that. Now, let's look at this one. This is Chocolate Addiction at Carter. See how much that moves? Almost can't tell it's moving. So this one here, you're going to hook around here like this, and when you're out hunting, you just come down, you have, where the release is. Now, these aren't really beginner releases, so you still want to put your finger here, but I can take my thumb and I can put all the pressure I want on this part of it, and it won't fire because it's back here. So as you're pulling, it's going to come off. Now, if you notice, as I get ready to fire this, how much movement is in my hand? Almost none. So that's how to use the release.
All right, we'll stop sharing on that one here. So we kind of go over just a little synopsis here. We go over the different types of releases. You have the caliper type and then the hook type, as well as the jaws that will open. And you just got to figure out what's best for you. Starting out, I would go with a wrist strap. I wouldn't go with a handheld or a back tension, a hinge, which there is no safety. You have to, when you draw those hinges, I don't have one, so I don't really use them. You have to actually tilt your hand forward so your thumb is actually back as you're drawing back, because that motion, if you're not careful as you're drawing back, that motion will actually fire them, because there is no way to keep off the trigger, because there is no trigger. It's just that hinge. As it turns so far, there's a point where it just releases on you. So when you get one of those, you have to have some experience before you get into one of those type. Once you learn how to use one, there are a lot of advantages to using them over the other kind. The big disadvantage in hunting is when it gets cold, you got to hold that cold metal on your bare hand so you can actually feel the trigger. You got to at least have the opening where your release, the trigger actually fits into your hand. And the way I do it, it come back clear into my hand. So I've got to have a lot of opening area in there. So most of it is on my glove. That hand is mostly just on the back. Most of the front is pretty much gone, so that I can feel the trigger, because it is a sensitive thing that you want to do. Now, when it gets cold, I go to the buckle-on wrist strap, because there I just need to have my index finger out in the cold. The rest can be, on a glove, so I don't have to have, everything exposed, especially like today when it's like 10 degrees out. And that'd be no fun to grab a hold of a piece of aluminum that's been sitting out there at 10 degrees and then you're going to freeze your hand. So just pick a release, get a good quality release. Now I showed the two different handhelds. I showed the Carter, which has got a very hard and minimal movement in the trigger. And I showed the other one, it has a lot of movement in that trigger. And I can shoot it, but it's you can feel it moving. And when you feel it moving, you think about the trigger moving, not aiming. So that's one thing you should look at that. So that's where we want to go with our release. Get one that's comfortable for you. Spend the money on a release before you spend money on getting a fancy bow. Get something that works, that fits you, and then start off with a kit that has, you know, the best way for a beginner to start off is get a bow that comes with the rest, the quiver, the sight, and everything you need. You just got to buy some arrows and start off with, get the least expensive arrows. Don't go with the Comp Pro, the 1000 straightness. You know, go with the 3 or the 6000 until you get your skills up, and you quit losing arrows. Why lose the high dollar ones when you can lose the little bit lower end bows or arrows? But spend the money on a release. That is where you're going to get your most bang for your buck, is getting a good quality release. There's a lot of manufacturers out there that make good quality ones. I have Carter, I have Scott, Stanislavski makes another great one. True Ball makes a good release as well. They have the lower ends and the higher end ones as well. We actually had a guy from True Ball on here, the CEO, and we talked to him a little bit about releases. And I learned a lot about the releases they make, because I've always just had, you know, the few releases. My Scott release I've had for, well, for almost 30 years now, and it still works just fine. And the other one I've had for probably about 20 years. They last a long time to get a good quality one. I had some when I started out. It was a cheap brand, and it didn't take long and it broke. You know, that's a whole other story on that one. The brand of that one was called Failsafe. Well, it failed, and it failed safely because the arrow went in the ductwork in the indoor range. So nobody got hurt on it, but you know, it failed. That's what you get when you get the low quality releases. Get a good quality release. So let's go take a look at another video that I've got in here. And this one is going to be on how to correctly draw your bow. I do have an arrow in here. We're going to go through that. And so let me go ahead and get that screen ready to go. And we're going to play here, and we have our sound turned on.
Today I'm going to show you the proper way to draw the bow. Now remember the hand grip. We're going to go in here.
Now this is the process that I use. It's not the only process you can use, the only way you can do it. Do what's comfortable for you, but this is how I do it, so I do it the same every time.
And go down on here. Now this bow happens to have a drop away, so it's going to pull up when I shoot. That's what this little string down here is for. But I'm going to put a little pressure on there, and I'm going to hook the release. Now I'm going to show you with a caliper style release. This is my...
It's actually not a caliper. It's got a hook on it.
One I use here. So put your hand in here. I like to drop it down with a little pressure on the string, so you can see I pull them back. A little pressure on the string. Now I'm going to step up. Now when I get ready to draw, if I draw from here, I'm going to end up leaning back. So you want to lean a little bit forward. Point your target towards, make sure I don't hit my ceiling over here. I'm going to put towards the target. You're going to do a little push with this hand as you're pulling with this one. So you're going to pull back. Okay. And now you're going to get your kisser button if you have one of those. Your peep is going to be lined up. And now then, when you get ready, you're going to put your finger over the trigger. And now that is your shot process.
Now on that one, it's the finger is on the second knuckle back from the tip of your finger. That's where you want to put your trigger. If you have it out the tip, that you have a tendency to pull the trigger with your finger, and which can help you develop target panic, and nobody wants that.
Okay, now this one's going to be on how to draw a handheld release. Some call them a thumb release, but you don't actually fire with the thumb. Remember, I went over that earlier. So on this one here, this one I actually hang off of the string, which is the way I use it when I'm hunting, so I can find it without looking at it. But you're going to put your hand all the way in here, and now there's no place to put your thumb behind it, so you just got to remember to keep that thumb off of this trigger, because if you pull that, it will fire. So now, same process as before. Put your hand in here, get that hand position. Now, when I draw, I like to put my thumb beside it because that's not even near to the trigger. So now, as we come up and draw, the same process. Now then I can turn the release and get it to where it's going to be able to fire.
And what I did on that was when I get ready to shoot, I actually let it roll towards my little finger, so that the little finger end kind of rolls a little bit forward. That allows me to put my thumb on the release itself. And then I can start getting my pressure in there rather than having it back and then trap my hand on there. That helps get my finger or my thumb around there so that I can get pressure on the release and get the trigger preloaded with a little bit of weight, so that I will go through my drop process. It will go ahead and fire. So that is the start of that. Now, I do have some videos here. I do go through the whole shot press where I actually fire them, and we'll show that one next, just to see, because you want to develop your process. You want to develop your process so that you can do it the same every time. If you go through your process and what you do is you twist your left foot a couple of times, do it every time. Whatever feels comfortable for you, so that you can do it consistently every time. The key in archery is you need to store energy and aim, but you need to store it in the same way every time. The more you can repeat what you're doing, the more accurate you're going to be, because it takes all those variables out of there. One time you draw back and your hand's in one position. Next time it's in a different position. It's never going to work as good as it could if you're consistent. So let's go ahead and we're going to start this last video here. And we're going to go through the shot process. This is where I go through the whole shot process. We're going to start off with the handheld release first.
Okay, and this one here is going to be the shot press that I go through. Each one of you are going to have to kind of decide on your own process, but do the same thing every time. So I normally have my bow sitting on my hip, or I've got a sling that fits in. I put my hand in the sling, drop it down with a little pressure on it. Now I'm going to lean a little bit forward.
Now where I'm putting pressure is I'm putting pressure on the heel part of your hand. Right there, you follow your little finger down, you got that little meaty part. You follow your thumb down, you got that little meaty part. And what they call the lifeline, it comes down, runs between those two. You want to be pushing on that spot right in between there. For those you know martial arts, just think of a heel palm strike. That's the part you strike with. Now, to kind of know where that pressure is and what's going to happen if you don't use that, you're going to relax. Go ahead and try this. If you're not driving, of course, let your hand relax. Go ahead and let your wrist tilt back a little bit. Now take your index finger and push straight from your hand to your elbow and see what happens with your hand. It doesn't do anything. Now slide your hand over a little bit below the little finger, and on the meaty part of your hand, push on that. What's your wrist want to do? Your wrist wants to twist. Now go over on the one by the thumb. Push. Your wrist wants to twist. So all that twisting, if you don't have it in the right spot, is going to want to twist your hand. So if one time you have it in the center, now the next time you have it over to the side, what you're doing is you're actually going to torque that bow. Because when your hand goes off, your hand is going to twist a little bit. So you want to have that pressure right there and feel that pressure. Every time you draw back, you want the pressure to be identical every time. let's continue on with the video.
And draw with my back muscles. And now I'm going to get my kisser button, touch the tip of my nose. I'm going to see my P. Now I'm going to start taking my thumb over here and putting it on the target or on the release. I'm going to put my pins where I want them to go. And now I'm just going to start aiming and keep pulling till it goes off. Okay, now we're going to go through the shot process. If you have a caliper type or wrist type, I'm going to use the one with the hook on it because that's what I'm used to using. And now I'm still going to go through the same thing, the same process I did with the other one. I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to put my hand in here, put a little pressure on it. Now I'm going to lean forward with my finger behind the trigger, draw back, get my kisser button lined up, my nose lined up, and my front sight. I'm going to put my finger over here on top of it. Notice how it goes clear up to this other knuckle here. My fingers are all relaxed. And I'm going to put pressure. Now I'm going to start aiming and pull the back muscles.
So you notice that I was using two different type releases, held completely different hand position. One was firing off of the the joint between my thumb and index finger, and the other was fired off my index finger. So the shot process was the same. The alignment of the string was the same. My hand was a little bit different position, and it all fired the same way. You notice what my hand did is when I fired, it comes straight back the same, no matter which release I was using. It comes back the same. That's what you want to do. The same motion every time. And it doesn't matter which release you have, it's all going to be the same. So that's kind of what I have for you guys today. And we'll go through and do other things coming up. I'll have some practice techniques and other things coming up in the next one. The next one, I actually have an interview scheduled for the next one. So we'll do an interview, and then we'll go back and we'll get some more lessons in here. And we'll just kind of keep teaching, all these things in here. And if you want to learn more, join the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. There we have, besides myself, an instructor, also bow technician. We have others in there that also teach, instructors. We also have others that work on bows. We have beginners that are just starting out. And if you're having problems, let us know. We're all there to help you. That's what the group is for, is to help you learn and get better. That's what the podcast is also, that's why I call it Archery Talk 101, your guide to better archery skills, because that's what we want to do, is we want to get you better at your skills. If you're struggling with something, let us know. You can also listen to this on multiple places. You can listen to it on Spotify. You got your Apple Podcasts you can listen to it on. There's a couple other podcast servers that you can listen to it on. You can actually go out to Audible and you can listen to it on Audible. It's a free podcast. You don't have to pay to download like a lot of the Audible books and stuff like that. This is free. Just go in there, search for Archery Talk 101 and start listening to it that way. The other way you can actually watch the videos is go out, like I said, to the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group, as well as you can go out to my YouTube channel, which I have a lot of stuff out there. That channel is named Learn to Fix It Yourself. So you can just go on YouTube and then just search for Learn to Fix It Yourself. You could also probably search for Archery Talk 101, and you probably find it that way as well. I have all the podcasts are out there that I've done. This one is number 158. So there's a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of information, a lot of interviews, as well as a lot of stuff you can learn. I learn a lot of talking to archers. I learn stuff and they learn stuff. That's all we're doing is here. We want to help you learn what's going on. So if you have any other questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I'd be glad to help you with whatever you need to do to help you get a little bit better. We can, take this journey and make it a little better. And just remember, when you're out there, if you're on my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to it so you know when I bring up new videos. I call it Learn to Fix It Yourself because I also have freeze drying videos. I have welding videos. I have tanning videos, gardening videos, all kinds of projects, whatever project I'm working on, learn to fix it yourself. Well, archery is something you can fix yourself. You just need to have somebody show you how to do it. That's what the whole channel's about, is learning, and I'm just out there teaching everything I can. And I learn stuff. When I'm making a video, sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out as we're going along. And if I can help you with a problem, that's what it's all about. So, thanks for listening to this far. Don't forget, keep up on them. Make sure you get your notifications in so you get notified when new podcasts come out. The podcasts come out on Spotify and Audible every Friday and Monday mornings at 6 o'clock. It's available. The videos are available on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 o'clock at night on the YouTube channel. And generally they'll be available in the archery group right away. Some are recorded live. The lessons, I'm not recording those live. But all the interviews are recorded live, go in the group. You can actually communicate with us while we're having them. So that's an advantage to being in that group. So once again, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm your host today on Archery Talk 101. And I hope you learned something from this one. If you did, leave a comment and we'll go on to the next one.